If you have a and you have a diagonal,
Hi, how are you?
yeah, because a burger could probably have the variables that the zero but this is zero.
All right, I'm Rob Sippel. I'm the geospatial and numeric data librarian here in the library. I'd like to start off by apologizing. It seems like I'm yelling at you. I'm just trying to make myself heard over this background noise here, which is not always the easiest thing. So, we are here to talk about LaTeX. I know it looks like it says LaTeX, but it's actually pronounced LaTeX or LaTeX if you prefer, but definitely not LaTeX. And more specifically, we're here to talk about LaTeX within the context of the thesis and dissertation template that the library offers for you to help you out in getting your work done here. So just sort of generally speaking, basic framework of what we're doing today is we're going to try to hit the basics of LaTeX. We're going to talk about the research guide that the library provides on LaTeX and other resources that might be useful to you. We're going to talk about the, I should actually say, thesis and dissertation template in LaTeX, and how you can get it, how you can download it and work with it and all that. And then we're going to wrap up with any questions you might have for me. Okay, so have any of you used LaTeX up to this point? No, you're all completely new. All right, then this is the presentation for you then. LaTeX is a document preparation system. And it's open source software, which means that nobody really owns LaTeX per se. It's something that's being continually worked on and evolved and improved upon by individuals and groups of people pretty much all around the world. It's free, and if you are going to be using LaTeX, you've got a couple of choices. You can either install it locally on your computer, or if you prefer, you can also use various services that allow you to use it online as well. So, I said that LaTeX is a document preparation system. Well, so is something that you're all probably pretty familiar with, which is Microsoft Word. I think most of us have used it. We're all pretty comfortable with it. And so, the question might be, well, if they're both document preparation systems, well, I mean, what is the difference between, say, Microsoft Word and LaTeX? Well, the basic difference is Microsoft Word is what is referred to by this kind of nifty little acronym of WYSIWYG, which stands for what you see is what you get. And as you all know, when you prepare a document in Word, pretty much what you see on the screen is what you can expect to see when you print it out on a piece of paper. But that is not the case with LaTeX. LaTeX is definitely not WYSIWYG. LaTeX is in fact a coding language, and those of you who have some experience with coding, if you look at this little snippet here, you may see that although you may not be familiar with the exact syntax here, it kind of looks like a coding language that you might see elsewhere. So, for example, over here we have these commands that implement style packages for formatting various parts of your document. If you look over here, comment statements in LaTeX are preceded by a percentage sign. And here we have what's basically an assignment statement saying anywhere in this document where it calls for an author, the author should be, in this case, the mythical P. Panther. I don't think there is such a person, but we use them all the time anyway. So, kind of look at these two things. You all know Word, kind of giving you a very quick sense of what LaTeX is like, and you might be wondering, well, LaTeX looks a lot more difficult to use than Word. Why do I have to use LaTeX? Where's this coming from? What does it do? How is it better than Word? And I'll give you some idea of where LaTeX comes from. Before there was LaTeX, there was something just called Tech. And Tech was developed by a computer scientist, mathematician, now retired faculty member at Stanford University by the name of Donald Knuth. And don't fall asleep, I'll be. I'm just kidding. Donald Knuth, and the story is that he had written a textbook And as is typical for somebody in his particular line of work, it was full of all kinds of equations, complex equations. And he got the first draft back from the publisher, and he was very dissatisfied with the way it looked. It just looked very unprofessional, and he was not satisfied with the product. And he took it upon himself to develop his own typesetting system that would be better suited for doing this kind of work. And then somebody named Leslie Lamport sort of took that and ran with it. And Leslie Lamport came up with what we know as LaTeX. He took the LA from Lamport, put it in front of tech, and therefore you got LaTeX. And that's what we've been using since 1985, and it's been improving ever since then. So the basic purpose of LaTeX is to create high-quality documents that can handle things like complex mathematical formulas. And you most frequently encounter it in fields like mathematics, physics, the sciences, computer science, etc., etc. And so you will find that a lot of the departments in this technical university that sort of lean towards those kinds of subject areas will require you to do your thesis or dissertation, as the case may be, in LaTeX. So that being the case, if you are one of those people who needs to use LaTeX for your dissertation or your thesis, the first question you might want to have answered is, where do I get LaTeX? Well, as I mentioned, LaTeX is something that's being continually developed and improved upon and expanded around the world, but there is one sort of central repository for LaTeX, whatever the latest version of it is, and that is what is known as the LaTeX Project. And they have a website, latexproject.org. And if you go there are links for downloading the most recent version of LaTeX. It'll often come with at least a basic editor. It includes some basic instructional material. So if you're all new to LaTeX, you'll probably be looking for some of that, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend going to this particular site for that. There are better places to go. And finally, there will be documentation on the various syntax and packages and the like that are available for LaTeX. Now, I myself have installed LaTeX on my computer. I didn't think it was that difficult, but there are some people who prefer not to have to install things on their own computers, and so if you prefer to just do things online, that's an option as well. So there are several websites that will allow you to just bring up documents online and edit them online and work on them that way. So one for example, is called Share LaTeX. As the name Share LaTeX would imply, this website was created to facilitate people working collaboratively on documents in LaTeX. And if you're doing that, you can get a subscription to this website that will allow you and other people to simultaneously work on the same document. But if you're working alone, you can also get a single user license on Share LaTeX, and the single user license is free. There's also another website called Overleaf, overleaf.com. Overleaf is a place where people who have developed templates for different kinds of documents for use in LaTeX can deposit those documents and make them available for just the general public. And one of the templates that is on overleaf.com happens to be the template for the FIT thesis and dissertation template in LaTeX. Now, it sounds like none of you have really worked in LaTeX before. Have you? I guess you're a latecomer, so you haven't worked in it either, have you? Okay. No. Okay. Then there's one more online site called Papiria. Papiria describes itself as an online LaTeX environment and playground project. It's something that will allow you to sort of pull up an existing LaTeX paper. You can do some editing on it. You can compile it and see the results. It is a little bit limited in that it won't allow you to save changes or add new files. But it is sort of a good playground if you're just trying to get familiarized with how LaTeX works. So let's say that you have in some form gotten hold of LaTeX, either you've installed it on your computer or you found some online site that will allow you to access it and work with it. But at this point, you still don't know anything about the syntax or how the command structure works or anything like that. So some ways you can go about doing that and getting a feel for it and getting a little bit more comfortable with it There are a variety of online materials that are free, tutorials and instructional materials. I've just listed a few here that I've come across. I don't know if you'll have access to this actual PowerPoint, but regardless, if you just go online and you do a Google search for LaTeX for Beginners, or a Beginner's Guide to LaTeX from Princeton, or somewhat lengthier, a not-so-short introduction to LaTeX, I can pretty much promise you it'll come up and you'll be able to access those. And since we are sitting here in the library, I don't want you to forget the library, of course, so just want to point out that we've got a variety of books, both traditional books and e-books on the subject of how to use LaTeX. We've also got a LaTeX version 2E, or maybe it's 2 Epsilon, research guide that explains various facets of how to get up to speed on using it. And finally, as you know, since you're sitting right here and listening to me, we have workshops on the subject of LaTeX. So, as I mentioned, we have and although it says thesis, it should say thesis and dissertation template. We have a LaTeX thesis and dissertation template. It can be used for either of those two things. It's been approved by the Graduate Research Office at, thank you, Office of Graduate Programs. For some reason I've got a mental block about that name. So, you know, it's sanctified, okay? It's been approved. There are various ways you can get this. You can link to it directly from the Florida Tech website, or specifically the Florida Tech Library website, or if you want to use the Overleaf site, it's also available on overleaf.com. So, downloading the template, as I mentioned, there are a few ways that you can do that from the library website. This video is going to be online ultimately, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through these links and click here and click there. I'm just going to say these next few slides explain how to do that. Once you've done that, you've got your template, you've opened it up, you've installed it somewhere, say on your hard drive. There are some things you've got to keep in mind before you start working on the template. And the first thing is that this template is really just a starting point. It's meant to sort of generally resemble what a lot of theses or dissertations look like, but it doesn't exactly look like the requirements of, say, any one department in the school. It's just kind of a generic product that's meant to get you started and save you a little bit of work. But once you have it, you do need to be in touch with your department, your advisors, and find out exactly what their requirements are so that you can adapt what we're giving you as a starting point to what you need as a final product. I think I'm starting to lose my voice here. So one other thing I wanted to mention is, and something I'll show you briefly after I get through my slides here, is the Evans Library, where you're sitting, has what we refer to as a scholarship repository. And that's sort of our showcase where we show to the world at large the work being done by our faculty members and by the students here in this university. And every student that prepares a thesis or dissertation provides an electronic copy of that to be placed in this online scholarship repository. Now we've got an entire research guide that gives you all kinds of information about how to go about this process and how to submit it and all that. It's called the Research Guide for Electronic Thesis and Dissertation ETD Submission. But the thing I wanted to mention right now is that one of the requirements that it mentions in those instructions is that your document, when you submit it, needs to be in what is known as a PDF-A format. You've probably all come across PDF files by now. They're very common. The significance of the A at the end there is A stands for archive. So PDF-A is an archivable format of PDF, and it's meant to be very stable over time so that 5, 10, 20, 50 years from now, people will still be able to open up these files and see your work. So, another consideration, a lot of the installation packages that allow you to download LaTeX, some of them will come with a basic editor, but there's some very nice sort of front-end editors you can download, which will work with LaTeX and will make your life easier. So I'm just going to mention a couple. This is not an all-inclusive list. It's just a couple of popular ones. One is known as Tech Studio, and another one is known as Tech Maker. I guess Tech Maker has been around a little bit longer, but they're both very widely used and quite popular. And it's worth noting that whichever one of these you go with, they're all available in forms that are compatible with Windows or Linux or Mac, which I imagine should cover just about all of you, unless there's some other major operating system out there that I haven't heard about yet. But and once you have that in hand, you will be able to start editing these files, because of course you need to take the sort of beginning point that we gave you and bring it to the sort of final quality that you need to develop. And so in doing that, once you download your template and you open it up, you will find something that looks like this, and you will find there's sort of different categories of files here, and the two ones that you'll be most concerned with are these ones that end with TEX, called Tech, and these ones ending in STY, which is abbreviation for style. So those are the ones you will primarily be editing while you work on your thesis or dissertation. And of those two groups, I think you'll probably be mostly working on the Tech ones. So it happens that I have more experience. Actually, I only have experience using the Tech Studio. I've never used the TechWriter, so I provided you with an example of what the editor for Tech Studio looks like. On the left here, you have a file manager. Here in the center middle, your actual code where you can do editing. In this case, the double arrow will allow you to compile that, and you'll see the result on the right-hand side. So as you go along, you can see if your edits are having the desired effect or not. And if there's something wrong during the compiling process, you'll see your error messages down here, and hopefully you'll be able to decipher them and correct whatever needs to be corrected. So before I go on to the next slide, I'm just going to drop back one. And so I'd mentioned these Tech files and these STY files. If you look here, we've got a whole bunch of Tech files. We got this one called Maine.Tech. I put a little asterisk by it. You'll understand in a minute why. But you'll also see that we've got other Tech files that correspond to various subsections of your thesis. So we've got one for the dedication, one for the bibliography, the acknowledgments, the abstract, the abbreviations. And up here we've got a subdirectory, a subfolder for chapters. If you were looking to there, you'd see we have subdocuments for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. So the reason I'm mentioning that is, first of all, you remember I put the asterisk by Maine.Tech? Well, the reason for that is Maine.Tech is sort of your master document for the template. It's the one document that really gives the form to the overall thesis or dissertation. And it serves a variety of purposes. So, for example, it's used to load these different packages that dictate different aspects of the formatting of your document. And also it's used for calling in and incorporating those different subsections that I just pointed to. So at some point in the code that's in the Maine.Tech file, you'll see these commands that say include. And so it's saying go to the subdirectory chapters and include chapter 1, include chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Now, you don't have to do it this way. If you're so inclined, you are welcome to put everything all in one single Tech document, but there are advantages to doing it this way. If you do everything in one Tech document, it could get extremely long very quickly. You might have this file that's thousands of lines long. It's just a headache to sort of maneuver around and navigate and make changes to. Bad time for a recital. Okay, thank you for your intervention. All right, so that's the basic reason why you may want to consider having sort of sub-documents for your different sections. So at this point, you can ask questions you want, but I'm going to actually sort of step outside the presentation here and show you a few of the things that I referred to within my slides. So I mentioned that hold on. So one of the things I mentioned to you is that the LaTeX template, when you first download it, is just a starting point. And to reinforce that, I'm showing you what the document looks like when you first download it. So it's listing the fictitious Pete Panther as the author. It doesn't say what your actual degree is. You got to fill in all these blanks, basically. So it's just sort of an open box. So let me take you to some of the websites now. So I'd mentioned our scholarship repository. I'm just going to briefly show that to you. This is where your thesis or dissertation will ultimately end up. This section here on research help is kind of as far as you as master's or PhD students are concerned, this is like your special corner of the library website that's really focused on your needs. So for example, under this research help, you can just click on research support workshops, which you are currently attending. And in fact, you are currently attending getting this one right here. You click on that, that's going to take you to a research guide, getting started with LaTeX 2 Epsilon, which is the most recent version. You go here, there's a link for your thesis and dissertation template for LaTeX. You can click on that, you can download it. It's all in a nice, neat little zip file. Gives you talk about how to get started, the basics of LaTeX files, how to install LaTeX in an editor for LaTeX. Talks about some of the other online services you might also opt to use. So this is the website of the LaTeX project. This is kind of the home turf of LaTeX as it currently stands. What are you?
Right here.
Sorry. Yes. This is the home. This is the home page of Project LaTeX. So if you decide you would like to have it actually residing on your computer, you'd like to actually install it, you just need to go to Get, and you will see it provides versions for Linux, Mac OS, Windows, or if you want to work online, it gives you a few options you can pursue for that. I myself at home just went to the Windows section and downloaded it from Maine Tech. I found that was a pretty easy process. And if you go there, it even gives you, a blow-by-blow picture with screen captures of how to install it. So I thought it was a pretty simple process, but it's up to you. I mentioned Overleaf before. It doesn't sound like any of you who have worked with any of this before. So we have Overleaf. That's one option, and you just need to. It's online. You register for it, and so I'm just going to show you. I'm going to go to templates here. Going to look for Florida Tech. Search. And here's your example dissertation. You can open that up. Open it as a template. And so this is basically your file directory. This is your code. It's refreshing right now, but at some point, there's your thesis as it currently stands. You can just go in here. You can do some kind of quick and easy, let's see. Right, let's go to author here. I'm going to change the author from Pete Panther to Rob Sippel. And you can go into chapters here. You can go into chapter 1. You can get rid of some of this Latin. And you could say, this is the start of chapter 1. And this will refresh again, so you see it's already changed the name to Rob Sippel. I'm going to scroll down some here.
Does it change everywhere where your name is mentioned in the document?
Yes, it does actually, because so here too, it's already substituted my name for what was there before. And we go down to chapter 1. Chapter 1 now says, this is now the start of chapter 1. So you can see it works. Yeah.
So is this template already set up for the graduate programs? Maybe requirements?
Yes, this is the same template that you can get through the library. It's the one that's been given the thumbs up by the... Yeah.
So, sorry.
It's okay.
So I will that's my thesis.
Okay.
Now I start to think about like you're writing for the online graduate.
Right.
I can do time this and another. Then can I upload that to the template, or do I then copy and paste it into this form?
Actually, you do have the option of, let's see, I forget how this works, but you could, there is an option here, I forget exactly how it works, but you can actually download this onto your hard drive if you want, but you can just as easily just grab it off the library website as well.
No, I think what he's asking is he has it in a Word document.
Oh, yeah, the Word
He
document.
wants to download it into the LaTeX. I don't know if that's appropriate. I think you have
Oh.
to copy paste. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like curious, is your department, does it require LaTeX? Or do you have an
It
option?
requires what lots of graduate programs, what their okay is. So
Okay.
if that is it, then I can use that.
You could use it, but if your department will, we actually have templates in both Word and LaTeX. So,
I have a question. In addition to that, because I've used a bit, I haven't done a whole lot of work with LaTeX, but I wrote a document once in Word and just tried to make copy and paste, direct copy and paste, right? I don't think you can do that because there's, for example,
Word has a lot of control characters and stuff in it. Yeah.
Figures, citations, and all this, they won't let you do that because you have to put those in the form of a code, if I'm not mistaken. And doing it directly from Word, it won't let you do that. So you may have to
Yeah, I mean,
speak with either Word or like have to type some of those parts manually by yourself.
because I think if you had just like straight text, like a text file, you could probably do it, or pretty close to do it. But I think Word contains all these different control characters and stuff that allow it to be properly formatted in Word, and I think that would probably throw LaTeX for a loop.
Yeah.
But you might also check with your department and see if they actually require LaTeX in the first place.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay.
So I know it's what formatting is what put into the graduate expense. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I mean, if your heart's set on LaTeX, by all means do it. But if you're doing okay in Word and your department allows Word, then I would probably stick with Word.
Share this question.
No, that's
I'm not a mathematics major.
yes,
People ask me
yes.
mathematics and figures is not connected. But I wonder if all these can be added. The template can be edited.
Edited, yes. Yes, of course.
The template can be edited.
Yes, it can.
Can I just want to continue to use it when I come back to my home university in China?
Yeah.
So, like, say, if I wanted to edit the templates, do I need to edit in the right part or just edit in the code part?
Oh, yeah, you'd actually-
I don't understand where should I edit. I cannot understand what's the code for.
Okay,
So-
we will cover that
Yeah.
in a minute because we need to wrap up. So
Okay.
give me 1 minute. Let's cover
Okay.
the other stuff.
So there's
other options that are
also
there.
share LaTeX. You can sign up for your own account here, and if we have time, I will log in. But I can actually tell you it looks really very similar to what we just saw in.
The overview.
Yes, yeah. Then there's Papiria, which again is kind of a similar thing. Papiria, you can go in there, you can upload an existing document, you can kind of play around with it, but it's a little bit more limited than the other two. So with that, I'm just going to quickly duck back to the PowerPoint. And does anybody have any further questions? And I'd be happy to stick around afterwards and talk to people as well if you want to.
So, quick question. I know,
Yeah.
I know when you compile it, it comes out as a PDF.
Yeah.
Is there a way to do it that it comes out as a Word document? Is there some sort of conversion like that? I don't think there's one.
As a Word document, I'm not sure about a Word document. Yeah.
Find out.
Yeah, we can look into that, you know. You're first. I don't think we've ever had anybody ask us that before. So, with that, I'm Rob Sippel. My office is right over there. That's, you know where my office is. There's my phone number, my email. Please feel free if you have any questions to drop by. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to find somebody who does. And if I'm not around, we've got lots of friendly librarians who are happy to help you. So, thank you all.